Welcome to another episode of What's the Hype podcast.
The building. And an interception, and you're not down by 10 anymore. Andre Howe, his second interception.
To get you the information that you need when you start your own business and do your own thing.
And I felt like it gave me a good perspective.
I was not the first person to go through what I went through.
Welcome to another episode of What's the Hype podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Pope, aka the Pod Disciple.
I'm your coach, Andre Howe.
Man, Dre, I'm excited to have another special guest on the podcast. Man, you're talking about a guy who I've seen, go through and get it out the mud, get it the hard way, earned everything he got. He's a Daytona Beach native. I mean, in high school, from high school team MVP. All area selection, all state selection, and basketball, all area selection. I mean, a 4-time all MEAC conference. So he was all conference, all 4 years he was there. HBCU All-American. Not only that, undrafted NFL vet that ended up playing 11 years in the NFL, Pro Bowler, and All-Pro. None other than my brother, my partner, Eric Weems. Welcome to the podcast.
What's happening, fellas? What's going on with y'all?
So, man.
No, what's happening?
All good, brother. It's been a long time coming, man. Just been waiting on the opportunity to get you on, man, and just talk a little bit about your journey, man. Our podcast is really just share, the guys' struggle, the guys, triumph, from wherever they from, was able to make it to the NFL, and a lot of lessons learned. So, man, we just want to talk a little bit about your story, man. We like to start from the beginning. So, tell us a little bit about where you're from and what it was like growing up there.
I'm from Daytona Beach, Florida. I went to Seabreeze High School. I have family, I had 4 brothers, 1 sister growing up, mom, single mother, household, mom, she did everything for us, took care of us, fed us, she did everything from the ground up, and just, being with her, seeing her struggle, it just, it really inspired me, growing up, it helped me work hard and go at it the way I did.
When did you first start playing sports? Which sport and who inspired you early on?
When I first started playing sports, I think I was like 8 years old. I was 8 years old when I first started playing sports. Growing up in, the projects or whatever, when we first started playing sports, we used to play like in the streets, playing in the streets, playing in like by the ditches and everything. You don't really see too many kids outside playing, throw them up, bust them up. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Shooting basketball on a crate tied to a tree. You know what I'm saying? And, what inspired me growing up was, Jerry Rice, seeing Jerry Rice play football. That's what really inspired me, seeing Jerry Rice. I always wanted to be like Jerry Rice.
So when you first started, so did you play, all sports growing up, and did you start directly? What was that like?
Growing up, I played football, basketball, and baseball growing up. I actually didn't start really playing organized sports till I was 12 years old. I used to always just play in the backyard, go outside, come home from school, put my book bag down and, run out the door because guys was outside playing basketball on the monkey bars. You know what I'm saying? Used to have a long monkey ball, dunking on the monkey bars. For real though, that's what it was like growing up. Having the monkey bars, dunking on the monkey bars. Having that. A bunch of guys that I grew up with. You know what I mean? Those guys really inspired me as well. Because growing up, it was a lot of athletes that didn't really even, make it. You know what I mean? Guys more athletic than me, but they just chose the wrong path.
We talk about it all the time on this podcast. Dre has a guy that he referenced with Nick Saban and recruiting a guy from his area. But like me in Miami, man, there's so many guys, legends that had the gifts and the talents, but so many other factors go into them being successful. So I completely relate to that. So let's just jump into high school, right? You end up going to Seabreeze. Talk about your individual success and also your team success while you was there.
I ended up going to Seabreeze High School. I was zoned for Seabreeze High School. I wanted to go to Mainland, but then, I started seeing all my partners and everybody end up going to Mainland. So I'm like, man, I don't really want to go to Mainland. I want to play against these guys. You know what I mean? I see these guys every day. So I'm like, I'm zoned for Seabreeze, so I might as well just go to Seabreeze. And then a couple of my guys that I grew up with, we ended up going to Seabreeze, and everybody else, they went to Mainland High School. So my freshman year, I played freshman football on that. And that was actually kind of fun playing freshman football when I played with Kenny Scott. Kenny Scott, I don't know if y'all remember Kenny Scott. He went to Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
So he didn't even play freshman ball. You know what I mean? They moved him right up. So I'm like, oh, damn, it's like this is Seabreeze. I'm like, but I was small at the time. He was a big guy, DB, Anthony Kelly, all those guys. We came in. Anthony Kelly, he went to Florida State. And, my sophomore year, I played JV. And then going into the 11th grade, my coach held me back on JV. So my coach,
11th grade year?
My 11th grade year, like I played like the first couple games actually on JV because I didn't attend none of the summer workouts. I didn't go to none of the summer workouts or do none of the passing league he had us doing. So my thought behind that was, I was actually working. I was working a summer camp. Mm-hmm. So, I had to get my shoes and my clothes for school because, mom had goddamn 4 boys to, provide for. So I'm like, I got to provide for myself. So, coach, I ain't going to be able to make it. And, Jeff Parker, he wanted, me and him still cool to this day. And I think, him doing that really, inspired me as well. That helped me, growing up. So I played JV my 11th grade year. Then he actually brought me up on varsity during that time. But then he was like, you ain't playing offense this year. You know what I mean? That's how he talked. He was like, you ain't playing offense this year. You got to play straight defense. So you ain't playing no offense. I'm like, man, this that bull. So since then, it was like, I got a point to prove now because he trying me. Like how he trying me.
So you said, okay, so 11th grade year, you played defense. And how was 12th grade? Because I know, y'all had a heck of a senior year. Talk about
right.
You know what I'm saying? The senior year, the players you played with and kind of how y'all made noise in the city.
My senior, I think my senior was like really my breakout year. We had a lot of guys on that team from Anthony Kelly, Xavier Lee, Kenny Scott, Tyler Smith. We got Oliver Wynn, Dawan Barron. We had a lot of athletes, growing up, and then that year we lost our first game. We lost our first game of the season. And then after that, we just ran through the whole time until we got to the playoffs.
So like out of all those guys you named, because you mentioned Kenny Scott, Xavier Lee, these guys, I'm talking about highly, recruited guys.
Highly recruited, up to my like desk full of envelopes, everything. Hey, Kenny, this guy looking out. This guy wants you. Zay, this coach wants you. This coach wants you. Like, I'm like, God dang.
So out of all those guys, where did you I know you what was the thought of them making it to the NFL or making it pro versus you? Like, what was your again, you talking about highly recruited guys.
Right.
What did you think when you think about making it to the NFL, making it to the next level for playing at a high level? Out of all those guys, where did you think you fell in that?
What I thought I fell in that, I thought I was better than all of them, just to be honest, you know what I mean? Because that's just my mentality. I feel like I'm better than him. Even though Zay, he the quarterback throwing for all these yards. Who he throwing to? You know what I mean? Yeah. Kenny, he getting all these rushing yards. Who blocking for him? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So it's like that. My senior year, I had 700 yards receiving. I had 10 touchdowns. I had 9 interceptions. I had 97 tackles. I had two picks. Well, no. 2 sacks. I had 9 interceptions, 2 sacks. You know what I'm saying? So it was shoot, I feel like I could compete with all of them.
No doubt. Them some hell of a stats, man, especially on defense, man. You did it all.
Right. Yeah. That I growing up, I used to always I used to love, that came from playing throw 'em up tackle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Back when I was younger, it's you can't be out here scared with these boys now because you ain't got no gear, no nothing. So you actually had to hit. You know what I mean? Yeah. These guys gonna label you, you scared. You know what I mean? And you don't want to look scared in front of your boys because they gonna talk to you about it every day. They gonna let you know about it.
Well, talk about your recruiting process and why you decided to go to Bethune-Cookman University.
My recruiting process was kind of slow, like, you know, because at that time I was like maybe 155 pounds, 5'6", 5'7", in, you know, high school. So it's like, and then, you know, a lot of people was like, oh, he probably ain't fast or his speed, you know what I mean? So, and I was small. So during that time, it was like, ain't nobody really wanted to touch me. You know what I mean? I only had like maybe 2-3 offers. One was Bethune, one was Valdosta State, and one was a school in Illinois. So during that process, it was like, if I'm gonna go play, I might well stay home and play in front of my home crowd. It's D1AA in my backyard, family and all my friends. They could come watch me play.
Yeah, no, I mean that makes a whole lot of sense. And you know, as you mentioned, you know, you don't have to go far. You're already familiar with the staff. And see, I didn't even know Jeff Parker was your high school coach. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was my basketball coach and my football coach. Yep.
So because he ended up making the transition over at Cookman.
At Cookman, so, he ended up coming to Cookman. Yep, he ended up coming to Cookman.
Was it after you signed, or was he already in place by the time you signed?
I think he was already gone. He was already gone before I signed. You know what I mean? And having him there was like, okay, familiar face. So you know what I mean? Like, I got a familiar face there. So you know what I mean? Maybe it'll be easier for me. You know what I'm saying? Coming in, I can learn. You know what I mean? He'll probably help me out with some stuff. Right.
So great. You said we're gonna go straight into the biggest adjustment coming from high school to college, because I want you to talk about, you know, your first game, because I done heard the legendary stories of like from the first game, you know, playing with a guy like Alan Suba, you know, and Steve Baggs, those guys on that team. Talk about just that adjustment going from high school and how that transition happened for you and like the immediate success you saw as soon as you stepped on the field.
So yeah, like, you know, playing with Sue, Baggs, all those guys, you know, Coach Wyatt. So my first time, you know, meeting Suba, me and Suba almost had a falling out, right?
No.
So yeah, we almost had a falling out. So Coach Wyatt wanted me and Suba to meet, you know, like before I even came in or whatever. So he wanted to throw some passes. So we was working on PA 40. You know, so you remember PA 40, folks? Yeah. So we were doing PA 40. So Sue did his action and he just like tossed the ball like this. He was like a little soft toss. So I'm like, hey coach, that's all. That's how he throw. That's it. You know? So I'm like, coach, that's how he throw. Like I hope he throw harder than that. So the very next play we did it again. He drilled. The ball had to hit me in the face. I'm like, okay. The ball had to hit me in the face, bro. I'm like, okay, all right. So I guess he's mad. He must be upset. So ever since then, me and Sue was kind of tight. You know what I'm saying? And then I find out later on that, you know, him telling Wyatt, like, he, you know, nobody ever came at him like that. You know, especially a freshman never came at him or tried him like that. You know what I mean? So he was like, ever since then, he knew I was gonna be something special.
So and you made your mark on him right away, because I mean, right away, legendary Alan Suber.
Right.
You know, Dre. You know, this is Black College. I mean, literally, probably every award type. I mean, this guy he lit the conference up.
Lit it up.
Option quarterback, man. He was a bad dude.
Oh man, up to he was lethal. Like, you need big play. Hey, we running 2, 3. Suba keeping that thing heading up the middle, gone, riding out. I'm talking he was the real deal. Suba was the real deal. I can't deny that.
So what made the transition easy for you? I mean, because talk about that first game. How many touchdowns you scored that first game?
My first game coming in as a true freshman, I scored 4 touchdowns. I scored 2 rushing and 2 receiving. My first ever game, like, you know, we were playing Savannah State and Jacksonville. So actually, my first ever game was playing in the NFL Pro Stadium. You know what I mean? We was playing in Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium. Like, my first game, like, I ain't know it was gonna turn out like that, but it turned out pretty good. You know what I mean? Having 4 touchdowns and one came on like a 50-something yard bomb.
Man, we talk about that because it's coming in after that. You know, they just talking about how you made that statement. But what you think made it so easy for you to kind of make that adjustment? Like, what made it?
I think what kind of like made it easier for me, you know, putting in the time and the work. You know what I mean? Getting adjusted with certain things, you know, continue to work, you know what I mean? Like staying out to practice, catching passes, learning the playbook, you know what I mean? Even though the playbook wasn't really too hard to learn, but it was like getting it down pat. So me and being able to having the knowledge, learning defenses and stuff like that was gonna give me like certain defense, because having the option, running the option, you're only gonna get a couple of defenses. Ain't too much you're gonna get.
Right.
But it was actually having to learn the defense that you're gonna get if you're in this formation and that formation, or if this guy goes in motion behind the B-back. And just learning that was able to help me play fast. Because it's like, if you don't know what you're doing, you can't play fast, you can't use your skill set.
So you went on to have a stellar career at Bethune-Cookman. At what point did you know you could play at the next level?
At what point I knew I could play on the next level was when things started getting slow for me. When things, in college, I was seeing stuff before it even was happening. You know what I mean? I was seeing defenses rotate before they even was going to rotate. I was knowing a person was supposed to be here before, you know what I mean, they was even supposed to be there. It was like me telling my receiver, hey, without him signaling me, hey, I got, how we used to do the fist. Oh, a fist, I'm going to go here. Like, I used to do that, like, okay, hey, I'm going to go him. I see he coming, so let me tell you what to do versus you telling me, because sometimes receiver be looking at the ball, they really not even looking at the corner that's, that's in front of them. Right. You know what I mean? So that's when I knew, like, okay, it's time to step my game up some.
So in most of your whole career until your senior year, you really didn't play special teams like that. So talk about taking ownership of like that special teams as a returner, and just like the success you had, and like the forethought to maybe think about that would give you a better opportunity at the next level. Right.
So, okay, I'm gonna go back to high school. So back in high school, I played some kickoff. Like I ain't come off the field. Like I played kickoff return, because when we first played our first game of the season, kickoff team, he had all the big guys on there running down, and like they was like returning. So I'm like, coach, we can't do this. We gotta switch this up. So coach ended up putting all the fast guys, the skilled guys on it. He was like, y'all guys got to get in shape like to do this. So I ended up playing special teams in high school. So I ended up learning how to do it in high school. And I played like the 5 and 4 in high school. But then as I moved to college, coach didn't want me to do none of that. So he was like, okay, he got guys for that. So I played none in college, but I played it in high school some.
And I know, because until your senior year, you started returning punts.
Yep, my senior year, I started returning punts. Coach Wyatt, he didn't want me back there. He was like, these boys ain't gonna block. He like, these boys can't block. I can't have you get hurt, son. I'm like, man, coach, man, just try it out and see where we go. And then, he ended up putting me back there, and I end up, doing pretty good at it.
No, that's incredible foresight to kind of to add that to your resume, because as we know, and as we kind of get into your pro career, that was a huge part of your your pro career.
Right. Especially, the NFL is a numbers game. Everything is a numbers game. Like, people think, okay, I'm competing against this receiver. Nah, you're really competing against that DB too. That's in the other room. Yes. Because if that DB can cover a kick and do special teams better than you can, why do they need you? Because they already got their guys who they paying big money to play receiver. So your best bet is, if you're going to be that field receiver, you got to play special team. But if you can't play special team and that 6 or 7 DB can play special team, you're going to be gone. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people think because they in a room with a bunch of receivers, they competing against receivers. Nah, you compete against that DB and that linebacker too. So you got to be prepared to go against everybody.
That's real right there. I never thought about it like that, but that's real right there.
Yeah. And like, I ain't even gonna lie. Like, what gave me my first awakening about special team was when one day, I was sitting next to Joe Horn. Joe Horn opened my eyes up to this. He was like, come here. He was like, come here, young rook. He was like, come here, rook. He said, I like you. I like the way you play. I like the way you go hard. He said, let me tell you something. He said, you know me? I said, yeah. He said, me, $4 million this year. He said, you see that guy right there? I said, yeah, that's Roddy. He was like, $8 million this year. He was like, you see that guy right there? I was like, yeah, that's Mike Jean. He was like, that's $5 million this year. He was like, you see that guy right there? I was like, yeah, that's Ron. He said, yeah, 3rd round pick. He said, those 5 guys that I just named, we on the team. He told me just like that. He said, we on the team. He said, I'm going to tell you just like this. If you want to stay around, special teams is where you better get it. Wow. And he told me just like that, straight up from the door. And then when he told me that, that shifted my entire mindset, like to get my offense down and then again go hard at special teams, because I wasn't going as hard on special teams. I'm going as hard on offense, because my mindset coming in when I signed to Atlanta as a free agent, I seen all these guys dropping balls that previous year in 2006 with Vic, you know what I mean, dropping passes and everything. So I'm like, I need to go there. I feel like I could have an impact right here, because shit, like I rarely drop balls, even though, you know what I mean, I've dropped some balls, but I rarely drop balls. So I'm finna go here. So when I get it, yeah. So when I get in there, it's like I'm focused on offense. You know what I mean? I wasn't putting as much time and focus on special teams until Joe told me that. When he told me that, I shifted my whole mindset.
Wow. Hey, Dre, and we'll get with your question, but Dre, I ain't never seen him drop a ball, Dre. I'm gonna tell you 100% true. I never seen the dude drop a ball, Dre. I think what game was that?
I dropped one ball. And when Wyatt cussed me out, it was against South Carolina State. I dropped the corner out for the game winner. And Wyatt, he's sorry. Like, he told me straight like that to my face. He's sorry. Don't put him back in there, coach. Who put him in there anyway? I don't even know how he get here. Listen, hey. Coach tell you straight like that to your face, though. He'll tell you straight like that to your face, and you just gotta take it.
Man, straight up, Dre. We can talk about stories about our head coach for days, but I remember was it Delaware State or Morgan State? I don't know. One of those games, you might have had almost 15 catches or something like that. Like, yeah,
that was I think that might have been I think that was Norfolk. Okay. That was Norfolk, and then that's I think that was one of my best games, like against Norfolk, and that's that game that I broke maybe like 10 tackles in one play. Yeah. Exactly. I broke about 10 tackles in one play and then took off.
That's when I knew, for me, I was like, this guy got to play on Sundays, because the crazy part about it is, Drake, every team knew that we was getting him the ball going into the game. Every team knew, and they just could not stop him from getting the ball. So 2 people on him, 3 people on him, it don't matter. He gonna catch the ball and he break tackles. So that, I mean, I'm telling you, it was for me. I was like, oh yeah, he's going to the next level for sure.
Right. You know, my whole thing, it was just like, man, if coach is coach, like, and the thing about me, I practice too. Oh, you know what I mean? I practice too. So it was like, I ain't going, even though I could have took advantage of Coach Wyatt, because Coach Wyatt, like, so you ain't got to do that today. I'm like, Coach, like, I'm good. Like, you ain't got to treat me like everybody. Like, I could go, I'm good. Like, I'm going to practice. Like, I wanted to get better. I actually wanted to see, you know what I mean? I actually wanted to attack my weaknesses. So I always wanted to practice. Like, I love practice. Practice was the the best thing for me, because I always felt like practice is where you compete at, ways you get better at. Because at practice, ain't no referees out there. So if anything go, motherfucker go grab you, go choke you, they gonna do everything that they possibly do to you in practice. But then when you get in the game, they can't do that. So now it's like you got a lot more freedom to do what you want to do.
Yeah, that's true, Dre. That too. Like, I've never seen a guy miss practice. Like, he really could have not practiced, but he always wanted to practice. It was one time coach canceled practice because our linebacker hit him hard, and coach was like, "Oh nah, cancel practice." Like, he hit him hard. Like, it was like, nah.
He canceled the whole. He blew it like he didn't have no regular whistle like a coach. He used to whistle with his finger. That's it. Get him out of here. I'll go. I was like, man, coach, you tripping, man. We ain't got to do that. I just go get some ice and be cool. He was like, no, it's over. It's over. Everybody go home. I was like, man, he crazy.
Talk about your pre-draft experience. Where did you train, and how was your pro day?
Well, where I trained, I trained a little bit in Tampa, but I felt like the trainer in Tampa wasn't giving me the work that I needed to get. It was some guy my agent had put me with. Man, I'm like, every day he want to bring out his watch and, okay, time this, time that. I'm like, bro, we ain't did nothing. Why are we steady timing? So, and that's when I was going to Tampa, and I was living with staying with Big Moan at the time, because Big Moan was training too. So I'm like, man, I'm finna go back to the crib. I'm finna go with what I know. Like, I got sleds, I got weights, I got everything that I could do. But my biggest thing was running a 40. Like, my whole thing was trying to get that 40 down pat. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like, I ain't touched not one weight Like, I ain't touched not one weight, like, when I was training. Like, everything was 40, 40, 40, 40, like, sun up to sun down. Like, a lot of people don't know this, but I even dropped out of school to goddamn just work on getting into the draft, work on, like, you know, my 40 time. Like, I was like, man, school done been around 100 years. Like, I can't put my focus in two things at once. So I'm like, let me just dedicate myself to this one specific thing and try to go here. And if I can't go here, hell, I just come back, because when you sign a scholarship, you're guaranteed 5 years. So it's like, okay, I can just drop out and then come back if I don't make it. But my mindset was like, fuck it, I'm finna make this. Like, I just dropped out. And then so coming to the pro day, I ended up running like a 4.41 and then a 4.5. And some scouts was even like, oh, they had you at a 4.3. But then on the other end, when it was time to lift weights, it was like, okay, that was like do the 225. I probably had like 5 reps on 225. I was like, forget that. I said, I don't even care about that 225. I built that up, but
your speed was like kind of the biggest question, right? That, because I mean, again, you had the stats, you had the physicalness, the toughness, the catches. They really wanted to see your speed, so you really focused on what it is they really wanted to see, and that ultimately helped you.
Right, and that ultimately helped. And Coach Wyatt, you know, he ended up telling me, he was like, son, they want to, you know, they want your speed. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care about the weightlifting, none of that. Because when you come from a small school, you know, a black college at that, you know, they know we're athletic, but they want to see, can we run? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, our numbers are going to match up with the big schools, but can you run? You know what I mean? Can you run? Can you jump? Can you compete with them like you can with these other guys in your conference?
Right. And we had a couple guys. I mean, during those times, we had definitely guys getting drafted left and right, like Justin Duran and just so many other different guys coming out of the
conference. Right, because think about it. Like, we had Nick Collins. Nick Collins ran a 4.3. 4.3. Well, even before Nick, what about Rasheem? Rasheem led the nation in interceptions. He led the nation in interceptions. What he had, like 16 that year, 15, 16 picks, and ran a 4.3 and still didn't go first round. Imagine if he went to Florida State, Alabama, or something like that. He first round, top 5, no doubt.
Yeah. And those guys went to that level and showed up. And these guys were Pro Bowlers. So, I mean, they showed that they can really play at that level. So, I mean, during that time, we just was, you know, guys were definitely getting opportunities. But I want to talk about draft night. Talk a little bit, talk about draft night and going into the draft, what you was hearing. Were you hearing that you may get drafted? Kind of talk about that.
I didn't hear anything. Like, my agent was telling me, you know, some scouts have called him, but I really didn't hear anything definite. So going into it, you know, I didn't get a call or anything until maybe like the second day. A guy from Atlanta actually called me. He was like, hey, you know, we want to bring you in. He was like, you know, it's between you and another guy for that 7th round draft pick. And the guy was named Jason Snelling. So he was like, if we don't draft you with this pick, you know, we want to bring you in as a free agent. You know, we want to bring you in. We're going to give you $2,500. So my head, I'm like, $2,500. I ain't never had no goddamn $2,500 at one time versus when I got my Pell Grant money.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I just want my opportunity. I was like, man, I don't even care about that 25. I just want my opportunity to show that I could play. So during that time, they ended up picking Jason Snelling. So after they picked Jason Snelling, Cleveland called me, the Saints called me, and the Falcons called me. So the Saints called me. They offered me like $6,000 signing bonus. You know what I mean? Just to come and play with them. You know, Cleveland called me. They was like, you know, we'll give you $1,500 to come here. And then Atlanta called was like, you know, we want to give you $2,500. So when I'm thinking about it, I called my agent, get on the phone with him. He was like, you know, his thought, hey, I think you should go to the Saints because the Saints are trying to give you six grand. I'm like, man, nah. I say, I don't think that's the best fit for me right now. I say the best fit for me, you know what I mean? Like with these receivers in Atlanta, you know, they was dropping a lot of balls that previous year. You know what I mean? Some of the guys were dropping passes, dropping balls, and that was the big thing, you know, that when I was used to watch, because my brother, he loved Mike Vick. So I used to always watch the Falcons, and it was like, man, these guys cannot catch, kept saying that, like, they can't catch. So I'm like, I think I want to go here. I feel like I could come in and bring an impact. Like, I don't even care about the 6K and all that. Like, I want to go somewhere where I feel like I have the best opportunity. And then that's when I told him, I'm like, I'm going to sign with Atlanta.
Now, I do remember, I thought Jacksonville might have been in the mix too, because I know, you know, draft. I thought they reached out to you at some point talking about possibly.
No, I didn't even get a call from Jacksonville at all. I got a call from 3 teams, and those are the only 3 teams I got a call from.
So after you decided to sign with Atlanta, what were your thoughts coming into the locker room with the likes of Joe Horn, Roddy White, Mike Vick, and Roy Dunn?
Man, going in that when you had Algie Crumpler, my whole thing was like, I'm ready to see Vic. You know what I'm saying? That was my whole thing. Like, I ain't gonna lie, my whole thing was around Mike Vick. So I wanted to see Vic. You know what I mean? At that time, because Vic had the city on fire. So I'm like, man, I'm finna get around Vic, pick Vic brain, see what's going on. You know, what can we do to get better? What's, you know, what he's looking for and everything like that. And then as soon as I get ready to come, Vic, he get in trouble about dog fighting. So it's like my first year coming in the NFL. I'm coming to go to practice and everything. You got everybody out front. You know what I mean? Got their posters, their signs, and everything up. Talk about Vic and his dog fight. So that went down the drain. So then when I got in there, you know, Ward Dunn was cool as hell. Like Dunn, Algie Crumpler, Roddy. You know, Roddy, he's still my dog to this day. You know what I mean? He helped me with a lot of stuff. Joe Horn, you know, he helped me a lot. Jink, you know, Jink's still my dog. All of us still talk to this day.
Right. Now, your path to making the team was a long shot, as you mentioned, signing as an undrafted free agent, and just kind of your first year, you know, practice squad most of the year. Then you saw some action like the final game. Then your second year started out on practice squad again, but then had the opportunity early in the season to play. But can you talk about just your path and just kind of understanding, like you mentioned, you talked about Joe Horn telling you how important sports and special teams was. But talk about like kind of going that chart, like that path of practice squad and what that did to you as it started to build your confidence as you started to carve out like a little role for yourself to stick around.
So what helped me build my confidence was my wide receiver coach. His name is Paul Petrino. Paul Petrino was the brother of the other Petrino, the one that left on us in the middle of the season.
Guy who was the head coach at Louisville.
Head coach, yeah. So because Paul was actually, he actually loved me because every day I was in there trying to fight D Hall, trying to fight Alan Ross like at practice, because these guys felt like they could not be touched. So at the same time, I was there trying to kill these boys. I'm like, man, I'm finna choke them out. I'm finna do everything. So I actually got into a fight with D Hall, Alan Ross, maybe like the first week. So Paul Petrino loved me because of that. And so he ended up keeping me around. And so, like, when he ended up keeping me around, so when it was time to make cuts, he was like, you know, the fourth game, he was like, hey, just go out here, play your game, have fun. He was like, you know, you're going to be around, but just go out, have fun, and show everybody why you're around. And so when it was time to make cuts, I ain't know they actually had to cut me to bring me back on the practice squad. So I'm like, man, hey, this nigga, my leg. I'm like, this nigga done lied to me, man. I'm like, this nigga done lied to call on crowd. I'm like, man, I done got cut. I'm like, man, this ain't never happened to me before. So then they end up calling me back. He was like, we want to bring you back on the practice squad. I was like, okay, all right. So then I felt a little better because of that. You know what I'm saying? But that still was like the determination for me to get on like the roster. I wanted to get on the roster. Like, I ain't want to be on no practice squad, because practice squad just mean you just practice with the team. You can't travel with the team, but you get to go to home games. So on Sunday, I'm actually just sitting there watching the game and not doing that. I'm like, okay, I know that play. Okay, let's run this. So I'm here trying to figure out like, hey, we need to run this. Talking to the screen, which was crazy. And then my first year was hectic. Like, and then towards the middle to end of the season, Petrino run out on us. He quit. He quit in the middle of the season. So my first year, I'm like, is this the NFL? This can't be the NFL. Mm-hmm. Like, this ain't what I signed up for. Ultimately, he quit in the middle of the season, didn't tell nobody. He just packed his stuff and hit it.
Dang. I remember that, though. That's crazy.
Man, wow.
And as you mentioned, it's kind of like being tough and giving those DBs problems. I remember coming up there and we went out to eat somewhere, and the DBs was there, and Lawyer Malloy was there, and he and me and him was talking. He's like, "Hey man, you know this guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my boy." He said, "Man, this one tough dude, bro. He don't care about who the person is. He go out there and he put in work every day, and even the special teams coordinator, I think it was Keith Armstrong, was that the coordinator guy?
At that time, it was the guy for the Ravens right now. I forgot his name at that time.
One of those guys, I just remember them talking about how tough you were.
Yeah.
And just the attitude that you brought. And they appreciated that and kind of like respected it. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I think he really going to make a name for himself up here.
Because, I feel like practice is where it's at. Practice going to be your hardest and biggest thing. Like, especially being in an environment that makes it comfortable for you to practice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that allow you to work hard and go at other people. Like competition is everything. Like if you can't compete and line up with the next man and go at that next man, because what good is that if I line up with you, Pope, and I'm giving you half effort and you going full speed, how is that making you better? How am I making myself better?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was always my mindset, was practice, because practice gonna carry over into the game.
And I think that's the secret sauce that people don't really take into consideration, especially when you talk about, because you came from, again, we talk about an HBCU environment. So we didn't have all of the amenities.
We have none of that. You probably get one pair of cleats, one pair of gloves, and you get a Russell shirt.
you're gonna get one muscle milk. That's it.
One muscle milk. That's it, bro. Think about it. Coming from an HBCU, our pregame meal was a 2-liter soda and a box of pizza.
Yeah.
Wow. Think about that. Yeah. The night before a game, we going to the movies, and he feeding us a box of pizza with a 2-liter soda.
Yeah.
Like, how is that healthy for us before a game? Right. And then he wonder why guys go out there and cramp up.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I mean, we just, again, just not having all the resources, but you come from that to an environment where you got coolers full of Gatorade. You got, many pair of gloves and cleats you want. You know what I mean? A lot of guys can get comfortable with that. You know what I mean? Right. They living a life.
Listen, I was in there stealing free stuff. Like I'm in there stealing free every day. I'm taking a plastic bag, the little plastic ice bags. Yeah. I'm filling up with Gatorade. Boom, boom, every day. Gatorade, milk, everything. I'm taking it to that. I ain't gotta go to the grocery store. I got everything right here what I need. You know what I'm saying? And then even then, at the time, coming in undrafted, them not knowing if I'm gonna make the team, it was still hard for me to get new cleats, to get new gloves, to get new girdles, to get new thigh pad, to get new. Oh, you ain't got it. Well, let me go help you look for it, man. You got a closet full of stuff. Like, just go grab me something. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even then, it was like, oh, he a rookie. He don't get nothing new. Hey, go find your stuff. If you can't, that's on you.
Okay, so in 2009, you made a 50-man roster, but your career really took off after injury to Harry Douglas, where you became a full-time returner. Talk about how you took advantage of that opportunity.
At that specific time, Harry was actually the punt returner. Harry was the punt returner. So, he ended up tearing his ACL in practice. So it was between at that time, he was like Coach Rubisky was like, they didn't know who they was gonna put back there. They didn't know who had sure hands. So Coach Rubisky, he vouched for him. He was like this Weems kid, he got real good hands. And you know what I mean? It was between me and Brent Grimes. And he was like, Brent Grimes is like, he the type of person, well, Rubisky was saying he the type of person where he'll catch the ball and then run back 30 yards and try to come forward. He was like Weems, he got good solid hands and he's a straight line guy. You know what I mean? Let's give him an opportunity. So Rubisky came to me and told me, he was like, hey, being that Harry's hurt, you gonna have to take all these preseason punt returns. And so the entire time during preseason, I played all 4 games, like taking all punt return reps, like all from first team, second team, third team, like everybody was out, like even, down to the people who ain't even gonna make the roster. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, coach, y'all trying to get me killed out here with these guys. Like, these guys getting free shots on me, and I gotta steal. He was like, yeah, motherfucker, you want to be the punt return? That's what he told me. Like, yeah, motherfucker, you want to be the punt return? You better catch all these damn punts. Don't make me look stupid. And then I caught all of them, and then I ended up getting a punt return job and making a 53-man roster because of that.
Right. So you kind of have 2009 to kind of get your feet up under you. But in 2010, you become a first-time Pro Bowl and All-Pro. Talk about that, how that all came about.
All that came about is the opportunity. You know what I mean? Getting the amount of reps and opportunity to be able to perfect it. You know what I mean? So back in 2008, I end up getting on the roster like my last 4 games. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then I end up getting on the roster my last 4 games, but I didn't do punt return. I ended up playing a playoff game where we lost to Arizona. Arizona ended up going to the playoffs that year. And even in 2008, a whole new coaching staff came in. So that was a whole new staff from 2007 to 2008. So I ended up getting on the roster like the last 4 games that way because Adam Jennings, a guy named Adam Jennings, he was the punt returner then in 2008, dropping punts, fumbling punts, calls a game. So they ended up cutting him and bringing me up that year. So, and then 2009, Harry ended up tearing his ACL. So I don't want to say, I don't like wishing bad on nobody, but everything was a blessing in disguise. You know what I'm saying? Right. So Harry ended up hurting his ACL, which that's still my dog to this day. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Me and him, we keep in contact like every other day. So he ended up tearing his ACL, and then I ended up taking over the starting job. So that was really like my first time ever like returning punts in a pro NFL game. So it was like more so me getting my feet wet, learning how it go and learning the speed of being out there for one play, one opportunity, one crack at it. And then 2010, that's when I started perfecting it because I started learning what they can and what they can't do, what the coverages was like, and leverage of gunners, what kind of leverage they gonna have. So 2010, that's when it actually took off for me, and I learned to master it then.
Now, so then, what was it like to kind of to be recognized as a Pro Bowler and All-Pro, and to kind of go to your first Pro Bowl?
It felt real good. I ain't gonna lie, like it felt great actually. Especially coming from a small school. Right. You know what I mean? And and to me, it really showed that small school talent can compete with the big schools.
So after another solid year in 2011. You had the opportunity to sign your first big deal with Chicago. Talk about how that felt and what was your first big purchase?
To get a big offer from Chicago, that felt real good. That felt excellent. I was like, this is my time. What I work for. I work hard for, what I've earned. So, and at that time, Atlanta tried to lowball me. I was like, nah, I don't put in too much work. I'm coming off an excellent season. Like, I need to be compensated as well because I feel like I don't put in the work. So my thing with going to Chicago was, hey, it's my time. Even with Devin Hestadell, I'm like, well, shoot, the coach told me that I probably may do some kickoff return, but Hess was the punt returner. Mm-hmm. I was like, shit, hell yeah, I want to go, learn from Hess, see what Hess do, how he carry himself. So I'm like, I get paid and go play next to Hess. Oh yeah, let's do it. Like, that's a no-brainer for me.
And as you mentioned, kind of going to Chicago, and you said Atlanta lowballing you. Did you kind of take it personal? Like, was that a business? Did you understand the business at that time? Like, did you? Obviously, you might have understood Atlanta.
At that time, I did not understand the business of the game. You know what I mean? I felt like I was just still a kid trying to learn the business side of it, still trying to have fun and do my thing because at that time, everything was still fun to me. Like, I'm doing what I love to do. I'm doing what I work hard for, and I'm just enjoying playing this game.
Got you. So I've known you for a long time. Before you got your first $1 million contract, and you've always been frugal, right? So where does that come from, and how did you manage to remain that way throughout your career?
I think that came from like growing up not having anything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I learned to save. You know what I mean? Even like from Cookman days, getting refund checks. Hey, like people used to get that refund check and they be at McDonald's. they be at the little chicken place right there next door. Like me, I'm still in the cafeteria. Like, man, I'm finna save my money, man. Like, I don't know how long this finna last, but I'm finna save it until something more important come up. Like, I've always been that way, like, because, you know, I don't complain about what people do with their money, but you know what I mean? It's more to life than just blowing money. You know what I mean? Like, and me at that time, I had my kids, my son. So it was like, okay, I got to leave something for them. You know what I mean? They got to be able to enjoy this as well.
And that's a challenge. And I Dre can speak to it because Dre was another person who did well with his money. But being in a locker room and being around guys who, you know, make the big dollars and they kind of spend recklessly or whatever. I mean, just kind of because they know they got it and they know they can, you know, it's coming in or whatever. But for you just to be able to kind of like not fall victim to that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's a hard task though, because you got money, just, you know what I'm saying, but you may not have the money they have, but you know, you can spend, but like, you know, a lot of guys get caught up in like trying to keep up with the guys who making the big money. Right.
And I think, like, me personally, I feel like trying to keep up, seeing these guys come in with this jewels, that jewels, and you know, like, dang, like I need that. But in the back of your mind, it's like, I can't go blow what he blowing for that because I ain't got it like that. And I think the hardest pressure with getting money is family. You know what I mean? Family and friends, because not everybody's seeing you have it, you got it. Like, it shouldn't bother because you're making way more than the average person in America. But to you, like to me as a ball player in a locker room, I'm making the bottom dollar. I'm making the least. But to y'all, I'm making the most money. I'm getting money. But to me, my mindset is I ain't making no money compared to what these other guys making. So I need to save mine until I can be able to reach that goal to what they getting. You know what I mean? So maybe I can spend a little more money and give y'all a little more money.
And Dre, I'll just give it a little perspective, and I'm gonna ask you about, you know, how you managed to kind of keep your spending down. But I'm gonna tell you a story. So he had been in the league probably about three years at this time, 2 or 3 years. He's still driving his same car that he had from college, and it was in a shop for something, right? So they gave him a rental car. So you know when they give you a rental car, they usually give you like the smallest car. So it might be a small car. So I'm like, you know, I know he probably gonna upgrade, get another car. So when I get there, I see the small car. I'm like, man, why you ain't upgrade? He's like, nah, that's free. So we go out with the other players, and you see all these Maserati, Lamborghinis, all this. We following behind them in a little like Chevy Avio or something like that.
We try to keep up. Man, they call it smaller than a Cobalt. Hey, I'm talking about they ride out. We trying to keep up. I'm like,
we trying to keep up. He
like, we been a valet.
I mean, but that's just speak to the type of guy he didn't care about that. But Dre, for you again, being in the locker room with guys that's making a lot of money, like for you, how did you manage to just kind of know your limit and make sure that you stay within that?
Yeah, I knew my lane, man. I would stay in my lane. I know, like you said, in NFL, you making money, you make more money than the regular person, but you're not making, making the same kind of money the other guys making. So like, you can't really hang with them like that. You can't be like that. They make way more than you. So like, you're not really on the level at that time. So I know I wasn't on the level. So I made sure I just took care of my money, to make sure I was doing the right thing with my money, so I wouldn't go broke. I said a lot of guys go broke in the league.
Right.
They actually were broke, and like just because they're trying to live their lifestyle. Like we couldn't live like that, being out. You can't live like that, man. Like it's impossible for you to live like that. That money go, man. You have to tax.
It go fast, bro. Like to be honest, like from college to NFL, your spending goes up. Like maybe you was like in college, okay, $5 was a lot of money to you. $10 was a lot of money to you. So now you getting this money, and you're seeing your cost and your spending goes up. Yes, so where it's like, okay, I got $100. I pay $100 here. I pay $200 for this. I pay $300 for that. Like you could actually blow money because of that, because you're trying to keep up with the things and the surroundings that's with you, because these guys in the locker rooms are telling stories about how they did this, how they been in that strip club. You know what I mean? But overall, I think some of those guys know in that locker room that you're not making as much money. So when y'all go out, party, buy tables, they actually buy those things for us. Like they'll buy it. They'll like, no, save your money. You don't need to do nothing. Like I got it. I'll take care of it. You know?
That's when you got them good vets, though. When you got good vets like that, it's going to kind of tell you those type of things. you know, you got to appreciate it, because not everybody kind of get those type of lessons. You know what I mean?
Right.
They tell you, hey, you got to spin it. You
Right,
know, like
right.
you said, a lot of pressure come from family and friends, though. You know, outside of that locker room, that kind of, you know.
Heck yeah, like and you know, I commend like Roddy, you know what I mean? Like me and Rod, we used to always hang. He used to, you know what I mean? Like we go out, like he like, nah, don't worry about it. T, I got this. You gotta save your little money. That's how he told me, save your little money. My little money. I was like, all right, don't worry about it. Yeah, all right. Shoot, you gotta tell me twice. You know what I mean? And like he was like, I got it. Don't worry about it. We good. Let's just have fun, man.
So after your time in Chicago, you signed back with Atlanta. Now you was a part of the team that won the Super Bowl and was big in the fourth quarter against Tom Brady and the Patriots. Can you talk about what happened and how you felt to be so close to winning it all?
Man, that Super Bowl still haunt me to this day, man. Like to be up 28-3 with like maybe 3-4 minutes left in the third quarter. So if around that time, like if we would have won that Super, I think I would have retired then. I would have retired on top, like, because I was already thinking about retiring, you know what I mean? Like being done. So if we would have won that Super Bowl, I would have retired. But seeing that happen, man, I feel like for 3 quarters and a half, we played the best game of our life. Like everything was, and you know what I feel like killed our momentum? Was that long halftime. Bruh. We had so much momentum, and you know, during Super Bowl, they got, you know, we don't never have long halftime. Halftime, like for pro, maybe like 10, 11 minutes. You know what I mean? You get in, make your adjustment, and be right back out. 2-minute warning, ready to, you know, stretch and everything. Man, halftime of the Super Bowl, maybe like 25, 30 minutes. So for the first 12, 13 minutes, coaches left us by ourselves. Like, so we just in there by ourselves, waiting on coaching because we got this extra time. Right. The coaches really ain't know what to do with it. So they left us there for like 12 minutes by ourselves, and then they end up coming in there and then making an adjustment. By then, our momentum gone. Everything has died down. And then we come out the second half and we just, I don't know, something wrong with Atlanta and second halves, bro. Like during the second half, it's just crazy. And at the end of the day, for us to play the game that we played, we still had a chance to win that game. When Julio caught that ball on the sideline, everybody on that sideline screaming, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And Kyle Shanahan wants to throw. Why are you throwing the football when Tom Brady is there? All you got to do, we got one of the best kickers in the game, Matt Bryant. We call him Money Bryant. You know what I mean? Money Matt. Run the ball 3 times. Make Tom Brady use his timeout. We go over rules and situations every Saturday. For some reason, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know. Like I still don't know what he was thinking. For him to drop back and throw another pass. Why? Why? We don't need the pass. We run this ball 3 times, kick a field goal. We up 10 points. Man, I was so hurt. I was like, I ain't gonna lie. I was in a dark place maybe about 2 weeks because of that. Maybe about 2 weeks.
I mean, everything was in y'all favor, man. I mean, I was there watching this game, and I'm like, man, Atlanta really about to do this against one of the, again, Tom Brady and that team who have the experience of being in the Super Bowl. And like you just said, that halftime, because Belichick has been there so many times, they knew exactly what to do.
They knew exactly what. Yep.
Like they went over all the adjustments, they went over all the game plan, and then again, Tom Brady. Just, you know what I'm saying, having that experience of not, just kind of letting it overwhelm him. He like, okay, we're going to do what we do. And them boys just started making play after play. And then, we were so young at that time. We had a young team as well. Like we may have maybe like 6-7 veterans on the team. Me, Bab, Matt, Julio, who else? Phillip Wheeler. You know what I'm saying? Like we only had maybe had like 5-6 vets on that team. And, none of us had experienced, a Super Bowl. So it was everybody's first time besides Dan Quinn. Yeah. Man, that definitely goes down in history, man. And
oh man, I'm on the wrong side of history with that one. That ain't the side I want to be on.
Right. But you got the experience though. A lot of guys don't even make it to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Man, it's a hard journey. Like think about it. I played 11 years. and been to one Super Bowl. Been to a few playoff games, but end up losing the playoffs. Like my 2010, heck, we got the top seed.
Yeah.
We had the top seed 2010. We had home field advantage. Green Bay go on the road. Green Bay come in and slap us in the mouth. Boom, boom. They just had their way with us. It's really tough. So to see Tom Brady doing it at this level, like, you got to commend that. Like, you got to get that high praise. You can't hate on Tom Brady because it's like every year to him, he's like LeBron.
Yeah.
This ain't about playoffs. This is about championships. It's championship or bust.
Right. No doubt. It's hard. It is definitely hard to get that. But, as you mentioned, 11-year career, Super Bowl appearance, All-Pro, Pro Bowler, as an undrafted player from Bethune-Cookman. How do you feel about just that in itself? And what could you share with like a young man coming from an HBCU with hopes of making it in the NFL? And what does it take?
What can I share? Just the work. Everything. I feel like hard work brings good luck at the end of the day. You work hard, you carry yourself well, you're going to get found. The scouts are going to come find you. You know what I mean? You put your stats up, you put your numbers up, the scouts going to find you. It may not be the scout that you want to find you, but somebody's going to come out there and take a look at you and see, okay, what is this kid like? Can this kid do this? Can this kid compete? But once you get your opportunity, take advantage of it. Whether it's one shot, two shots, you know what I mean? And I'm going to reference my story. During my time, I used to get one play per practice, during when we used to come in as a team. Mm-hmm. We do team, go team, one play per practice, maybe even two, possible two. But for that one play, two plays, I was going at it 100 miles an hour. Right. You know what I mean? You just got to go at it with the effort. You got to have the attitude, and you can't let what's not going for you, you can't let what's not going right for you deter you from what your ultimate goal is. Right.
So like me, you did a good job with your money, but talk about the transition to post-career and the adjustment that was. I know for me, I am still trying to find balance to life after. How have you managed, and what's your plan for the next phase of your life?
That was one of my biggest things, coming out, from football, because all they do in the NFL, all they teach you is save. Put money in your 401k, save. But motherfuckers won't tell you, shit, that 401k, you can't touch that till you 55. Who wants to touch money when you 55? I'm living right now. You know what I mean? A lot of us don't even live to 55. You know what I'm saying? So all they teach you is to save. They don't teach you to invest. So I had to learn that the hard way to figure out what am I going to do with my money, what I'm going to invest my money in. So I ended up getting with a couple guys, being around Roddy, he helped me with that. He had a bunch of heavy hitters. So I was able to get around them and learn the game on my own. You know what I'm saying? So being around those guys helped me invest my money. So right now, I got my own trucking company. And me and my fiance, we have a trucking company together as well. I also own part of a town center, you know what I mean, in Mississippi. Get around some heavy hitters, invested in some invested in a town center. So I got that. I got commercial property. I got rental property as well. So I had to learn the hard way.
And that's key. And I think Drake doing some real estate stuff too with that.
Right.
Yeah, I got a good financial advice. He actually one of my good friends. He went to college with me. Went to Vanderbilt. He played football with me at Vanderbilt. And I made it to the league. My first year, I was doing put money in the bank. Thought I was doing the right thing, but I was doing the right thing. And I had to invest. I had to invest. So my got with me and taught me how to invest. And I started investing with him, and I started making more money, and doing stuff like that. And he told me get into real estate, just do more and more than one thing. Just get yourself out there, kind of know what you're doing. Not just putting money in the bank. You never get rich like that.
Right. Because
money.
You ain't getting no return on your money with the money just sitting in the bank.
Nah.
You know what I mean? The bank, they ain't doing nothing but loaning your money to somebody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they getting all the money. You know what I'm saying? So the best thing to do, I would say, invest. Be knowledgeable of what you invest in, because I know it was tough for me to say, dang, here go $50K, invest in that. I really had to do my research. And me being frugal, You know what I mean? I had to double, I had to twice, 3 times, make sure like, man, is this what I want to do? Is this what I want to do? And then finally I was just like, forget it. Let me take my chance right now.
I mean, because a lot of guys you see that get burnt, that kind of get into situations that they unaware of, get taken advantage of, whether it be financial advisors or different, investment schemes. So you definitely want to definitely do your research and make sure that, this is something that is valuable and that's something that is legit. You know what I'm saying? Because we see guys get hit all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that comes from guys not doing their own research. You know what I mean? They letting guys come in and just say anything to their ear, and he's like, "Oh, okay, this sound good, but not knowing these guys snakes, man. A lot of these guys are snakes. You know what I mean? I don't have people come up to me, hey, invest in this, invest in this. I'm not investing nothing you ain't putting your money into.
Right.
I don't give a care what it is. Both of us got to have something to lose. You put your 50K in it, then I put my 50K in it. I'm not going to put 50K in it and you put nothing. You got nothing to lose. I'm the only one that's going to lose. So I would say to anybody, don't invest nothing in nobody that they're not willing to put their own money in.
Right. And if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Maybe
it probably is.
About this huge, quick return. It's probably not something that you want to get into, because I mean, again, it's long term. Is that letting your money work for you? Something that's going to create passive income for you and that's going to be consistent. So definitely, I appreciate it, man. Look, man, I appreciate you jumping on, man. I know we've been going for a little bit, but coming on, sharing your story, sharing your insight, man. I appreciate it. Dre, you got any other questions for him?
Man, just thank you for sharing your story, bro. Like you came up from the bottom. Like I'll say around picture. I know exactly where you come from. Like you ain't get with time bone. So you had to work. You had to get out the mud the whole time. Your whole career had got out the career. So I know exactly how you had to get it. So I appreciate you talking to us, man. I appreciate it.
Right, man. I appreciate y'all for having me and helping me share my story and listening to my story. You know what I mean? Like, everybody got a goal in life. Everybody got a goal. You just got to keep working towards those goals, man. Things gonna happen. Things gonna happen whether it's up or down. The big key when things go bad, don't down yourself. Learn from that bad experience. Think about how can you make that bad experience good, and that's gonna take you a long way. Absolutely.
Well, with that being said, man, he dropping some gems and sharing so much insight on you. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that you share this, like it, follow us. Make sure that you guys, tune in, because we'll be bringing more episodes like this for you throughout the season. So again, thank y'all for tuning in. We had our, a great guest, my guy, Eric Weems. Thank you guys again for being a part. Thank you, bro, for joining us, man.
I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for having me.